Hey everybody, it's Jillian again. And I've been just doing a lot of thinking about these things with the viruses and the different extinction events that get triggered by these viruses, or the viruses trigger extinction events in the body. And then we start seeing glitches or behaviors that are benign or seem to cross lines and boundaries and then turn into crimes. And so this will help you, I guess, understand the world that you live in, because this is something we must understand. Well, obviously that, but this is something that we need to explore so we're not creating criminals in the future. I mean, that's what it really comes down to, is that since we are a society that likes to reproduce, we are a society that loves children, which is great, but we are finding out that when we go and repopulate the earth, it comes from hormonal imbalances, okay? And some are manageable and are okay within the law, and others seem to break the law. So you're seeing a very extreme side of repopulation being manifested in relatively, peaceful ways, and then very violent ways. And then there are some points in between. So if we understand that all of these different crimes are being committed, especially in these predator type crimes, are based upon extinction events, are based upon imbalances, are based upon viruses exploiting weak bodies, we then can begin to understand what we need to do as parents to make sure we don't raise people who are imbalanced. And already I'm seeing in the population, we are raising children that are going to be future predators simply by just what the parents are doing. And it's a reality. I'm not trying to knock anybody, and I'm not pointing anybody out specifically, but that is that is what is going on. That's why you see so much crime out there. Okay? So I'm trying to speak very carefully, because this is very politically charged, and there are words that are major triggers on Facebook. So this is why I'm speaking in very, in a way, it almost seems like cryptic. But this is what it comes down to: love and hate, which are basically imbalances. When you love something, or when you hate something, those are two extremes that trigger somebody who feels that the person is crossing a boundary. So when you feel extreme love from somebody, which I do a lot, especially in the empath world, I feel this inordinate amount of love, okay? And then sometimes it also is somebody that has major raging hormones, okay? So there's that love too, as well. And then I also experience the hate from the people in our society that hate and want to demonize and go and bully. And that also can manifest through the repopulation events. This is why you see predators. This is why you have to go and check some of your neighborhood postings to figure out who's a predator in your neighborhood. The Jeffrey Epsteins of the world. Because they have an extinction event that caused them to hate, and then it manifests through them exploiting through their repopulation triggers in their body. That's the best way I can say it. Because these two words that I have that have the sex in, I mean, I could say rape, okay, but that's exactly what regular sex and what rape is. It's just a manifestation of a major hormonal imbalance now is being exhibited by people who cannot control their emotions, who have a very imbalanced body. And you see it in the trolls out there. They exhibit the same characteristics. May not be as extreme as a Jeffrey Epstein, but they are manifesting those characteristics. And if they have children and they're exhibiting these qualities and teaching them on the internet how to go after somebody on the internet, what do you think you're teaching your children, as they grow up in this society where bullying and all those types of predatory tactics are just so easily transferable to everything? This is why we have these Jeffrey Epsteins. This is why we have people who are predators. Okay? So love and hate are spiritually connected. They are two sides of the same coin. And so finally, after a few years of just breaking the programming out there, okay, I don't even want to say man or woman, because that's a social construct. I don't want to say anything out there that depicts a specific characteristic of a lifestyle that has been so heavily politically charged on the two coasts as well as middle America, that play within the Democrats and Republicans, okay? I don't even want to go there. So the only way that I want to refer to humans is down to a biological construct, the ability to carry the human species forward if you trigger an extinction event, which is on a weak body, and then the body goes and says, okay, I need to repopulate. So if you can create an egg, if you can create a sperm, and I don't care who you are, if you're able to carry a baby, that's great. You're human. You are normal. I don't care what you're wearing. I don't care who you're attracted to, as long as it's to another human, and it has to be of age in our society that's lawful, that you're not destroying somebody because you need to repopulate. But I don't care what you subscribe to, as long as it's lawful in our society. Everything else is just noise and division, social construct. So this is how I've been able to now finally get away from the politically charged arguments and just break everything down to an elemental construct and a biological construct. That's it. But then what triggers these extinction events? Well, the detoxes, everything in the holistic and the allopathic world, just so you guys know. Holistic remedies and detoxification and playing the vegan vegetarian, as well as playing those crazy diets, either the keto or the Atkins, those trigger extinction events. When someone says, oh yeah, vegans and vegetarians are so much more, they're better in bed. That's not something to pride yourself. Being really good in bed and all this other stuff, yeah, that's great for somebody else who wants to repopulate. But the reason why you're so great in bed is because you're on this death trajectory. The body is triggered to go and repopulate, regardless if you want to or not. That's what it's biologically going on. Now there are ways that now you can balance it. If one person is really, really well or really, really healthy, the other person is not, but they're relatively, and that's fine. You balance out what you're willing to give up and what they're willing to put up with. Okay. But if both of you are very, very healthy, then you both will find a balance in how to express your love in a marriage. And most likely, you won't be going out hunting to repopulate. Okay? Because you have a higher purpose with your mate. And you both agreed upon how you want to express your love and your commitment to a relationship. All right? So when a body is imbalanced, dealing with viruses and dealing with cancer, disease, and chronic illness, which basically viruses, it creates predators as well. It creates very highly sexual, tantric type of people, regardless of their gender, regardless. Okay? And so it's interesting. And I know it's very unpopular to have this thought process, considering the porn industry and all these different things that are around repopulation is like a multi-billion-dollar industry. But we have to understand where it comes from. And then maybe there's a way to mitigate these major imbalances and then create balance. Okay? So, love and hate are spiritually connected, and they manifest from hormonal imbalances triggered by an extinction event within the body. So yeah, you've been exposed to a virus and your body isn't strong enough to handle the message. the body goes into survival mode, and then it triggers then the hormones to go and do what it needs to do, repopulate. Okay? So it comes from either love or hate, because you've seen the love out there. All the empaths are all about love, 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 and tantric and this and doing all the different things and having major, I don't know, swingers clubs and all that stuff. That's the people who are all about just spreading their seeds everywhere. Then you have people who hate, but they still need to repopulate, but they're coming through the hate. You see it in the bullies. Now, I'm not saying they're going to be like a Jeffrey Epstein, but they're exhibiting those characteristics that do get passed down each generation, and it causes then crimes being committed in future generations if someone doesn't actually stop the programming pretty quick. So this is why we must not feed the trolls, because their hatred and their bullyism is teaching future generations to go ahead and exploit and victimize what could potentially be a weaker person. Okay? So love and hate are spiritually connected, and they manifest from hormone imbalances. So when someone hates something or something, or filled with anger, the way they manifest the hormones imbalances is through oxytocin/adrenaline, triggered by the extinction event, is to repopulate the earth in an extreme way. This is when crimes get committed, like people stealing my book under the guise that they're trying to justify. No. This is when crimes get committed, and you see that all over the world. The Jeffrey Epsteins and all points in between, the activists that justify their crimes by going and pirating my book and then giving it away on the internet. That's an example of a predator in the making, or teaching their children to be predators in the making. So anyone that sees somebody stealing my book, this is an exemplification of the predators in our society. They commit crimes because they have an extreme hatred due to an extinction event from the viruses in their body that they cannot process. You see how that's all connected? Okay. So when someone is full of love, 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 and you feel it oozing all over the place. See, I react better, and I'll tell you, I react better to someone who is acknowledging, not coming from hatred or anger or complete love. It's interesting, the ones that come from all this love towards me and all this hatred towards the people who are messing with me, you can see the imbalance. You don't see just the acknowledgement. Yes, people do stuff, but don't worry about it. No, you see the extreme anger. Because when someone loves something so much, they also can hate something so much. It's that major only extremes that they can only exhibit. They can't exhibit anything in between. So indifference is something, is an imbalance. Okay? So when someone is full of love, 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 and you feel it oozing all over the place, it is another hormone imbalance triggered by an extinction event to then go and repopulate under the guidelines of marriage and monogamy. And then this is what I went to indifference versus acknowledgement. Acknowledgement is the balanced way, because indifference is where you completely just not give anybody any acknowledgement. You're not being generous with your acknowledgement of their contribution, their positive contribution. And so you just, whatever, you're not going to say anything, you'll ignore it, you pretend it doesn't exist. And then we have someone that actually acknowledges. They are generously saying, I acknowledge what's going on. But they don't come from an extreme love or hate, or I'm going to take your side, or I'm going to hate this other person because they don't like you. No. Sometimes I say things in my group to say, hey, if you don't agree with something in the group, no friendly fire. We're not going to debate anything. Okay? And then you have people wanting to just take my side and be like, oh, that. And you can feel the anger. Because even though they're on my side, it's still a hatred towards something else. Okay? There's a way to express your acknowledgement of what I'm saying without going to love or hate. Okay? But it's easier to deal with the love than it is the hate, but you can feel the hate even through the love. It's such a weird type of concept, but you can feel it once you get more clear. Okay? So a balanced person would exemplify this acknowledgement. This acknowledgement is generously recognizing another person's positive contribution and not afraid to express it. Because there's some people that know about my stuff. I talk to them maybe on a weekly basis, and they won't say anything at all about my videos, but I know they watch them. They won't say, oh yeah, that's a great video that you did. Oh yeah, no, they won't even generously acknowledge it. It's an indifference that really pisses me off, but I'm not gonna say anything. I don't care. I mean, I know that they don't really have anything. They say they don't have any feelings towards my protocol, but I know they do. They just don't want to express it because it will never be anything in a positive way, and it would trigger a back and forth. So it's like we both carefully leave it alone. I don't bring it up, they don't bring it up, and it's an indifference on both ends, I guess. But sometimes that's how you have to have a relationship. Okay. So the human biological construct. So here we go. Viruses will strengthen a strong body. Okay. So as you know, through the last like 50 of my posts, I'm talking about viruses. Kevin really brought everything together with his great writing ability. I'm piecing all this stuff together, and then he's bringing it together, adding his own spin to it. We realize that we are around viruses all the time. We have been able to, right now, before we got diagnosed with cancer, disease, and chronic illness, we were able to live symbiotically with these viruses, and it actually helped us enhance our understanding of the world, gave us the ability to go to school and understand the concepts, and then learn a trade or learn a subject matter, and then go to our job and do the best at our job. And some of us are living with like eczema, psoriasis, and all this stuff, and we're still strong. Some of us are working out, dealing with like major viruses that I've been told by some people, and they stop the protocol, but they are like workout artists, but yet they're dealing with viruses in their body. Okay, so these viruses can really help strengthen a strong body, but then you start seeing the degradation. Okay, eventually when you are not strengthening your body, those viruses take a toll, because it's a massive amount of information that is creating all this energy. And if you're not actively regenerating the cells, you're going to start seeing the messages in your body get all skewed up, and then you're going to see the cell degradation in your face, in your skin, all of that. You're going to start seeing cancer, disease, and chronic illness come to surface. Okay, so viruses will strengthen a body or destroy a weak body, and then repopulation events get triggered, manifesting from hormone imbalances based upon adrenaline or oxytocin or both together. So when you see people who are graduates from the integrative nutritional schools, and then they want to go get clients so they can do detoxification, and they're just parroting what the role of each organ is, like the liver does this and this does this, and hey, come to me and pay me some money so I can give you a bunch of herbs which are antibiotic, that will then trigger more repopulation events, which means that maybe you might be great in bed, and you might have a few years to be great in bed and have all these amorous lovers, and then you start seeing the life get sucked out of each person. As they get older in this great tantric lifestyle, you see the viruses sucking the life out of them. The message of the viruses are stronger as each person passes their virus message to each person through their amorous tantric repopulation events. And this is why you see then also pandemics. Okay. And so on a strong person. So this is what I'm saying. If those of you who are on the protocol and you're with a mate that's not on the protocol, hopefully what you're doing is maybe helping strengthening them with all of your stuff. Maybe I'm thinking, and then all of their viruses and all of their stuff is strengthening you. So maybe I don't even know if it's strength, maybe all my stuff, my strength to be able to handle everything in my environment is then further weakening them. And then all of the stuff that they have is strengthening me because it's based upon the internal universe. See, that's where it gets really trippy when you're with somebody that is doing the J juice and then not doing the J juice. The one that's doing the J juice is going to derive benefit from that relationship, a lot of it. The other person is too, in a different way, but health-wise, it may not manifest. See, that's why both people need to be on the protocol, but it's not always going to happen. So you hope that you do the best you can, that both people can still derive benefit. Okay. And that's the commitments to marriage, is what are each of you doing to contribute to the relationship in some way. Okay. I mean, I'm hoping that maybe what I do as far as my body will strengthen my husband, but it may be doing the opposite because he doesn't have his stuff all well balanced. He's balanced enough. He's very strong, but remember, the aging process is when you have all these viruses in your body, regardless of where you got it from, they eventually do take a toll. Okay. All right. So, and how I came upon this whole thing with extinction events and the weaknesses in your body triggering all these type of things is from the 4 seasons. So I see some comments. Hold on, let me see. Okay. Makes sense. And Angela and Oni surrender. Oh, right. Okay, very good. Oh, good. Krista says, makes sense. I see all of you guys coming through. Yeah. It's you study everybody on the internet. You will see who's triggering the extinction event and who isn't. You will see who's teaching their children how to victimize other children and other people just by simply how they behave on the internet. It's like sometimes I wonder, these mothers that are basically victimizing other mothers and other people, what are they teaching their children? This is what gets me, is these self-proclaimed do-gooders who want to save humanity. It's just trying to destroy somebody. What are they teaching their children trying to destroy somebody else? I don't get it. Okay. So give me 1 second. All right. Yeah, the love-hate. They're two extreme sides. They're two sides of the same coin. Two sides of the same coin. That's why I get triggered when I feel such love oozing from some people. And I hope that one day I don't feel triggered by them anymore, that they finally have a balance. But remember, we are living in a society where people are okay with doing the detox stuff. They're still smoking tons of pot. They still want to do the ayahuasca, playing with the drugs. Because guess what? When you trigger an extinction event and you go and try to repopulate the earth in any way, shape, or form, it's like you are addicted to the manifestations of your hormones. What are drugs? Drugs are manipulation of your hormones. So a person can be used as a drug, and a drug will be used as a drug. All it does, it manipulates your hormones to make you feel a specific way, whether it's awake and excited and adrenalized, or completely amorous, full of pleasure, like eating chocolate. And then what the Jeffrey Epsteins do is they totally exploit their adrenaline as well as their oxytocin together. And then you have the criminals in our society. Okay? So this is where you have to understand, when someone is so full of love or so full of hate, I'm not saying they're going to turn into criminals, but it can be then cause an imbalance to then potentially be something if you don't get a hold of those imbalances. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen for everybody, but we're already seeing, now, I mean, not everybody is going to exhibit criminal characteristics from those two imbalances, but you then start seeing people going into professions that cater to the amorous tantric extinction events, and they start selling classes, they start gaining clients and all this stuff, because everybody wants to be kind of drugged up. That's kind of our society, is how do you find the best drug, because people want to escape the reality of their life. Okay. And then Charmaine goes, our ecosystem is polar. Oh my God, ecosystem. Wow, that's a great word, ecosystem. Damn, girl, that's good. Charmaine, that's amazing. That's really awesome. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I have people on my Facebook that are still very much in the holistic world. They're focused on their food. They have a lot of friends in the detox world and in the herbs. And they're dealing with all of these powders and these pills and supplements and whatever. And then they're making these connections that vegan and vegetarians are better lovers. I know some people who are meat eaters who are great lovers. Okay? So I don't think that's true. I think that if you trigger an extinction event and your body's on a death trajectory, you'll be a great lover. And when those are not great lovers, it's not that anything's wrong with them. It's that they don't feel the need to go and drop their seeds and procreate. Because their bodies, they are the best copy. They don't need to go and make more copies, more clones. So we have it all flipped up in our system, that people who have no interest in in repopulating are the wrong ones, and the ones that are repopulating everything are the right ones, and the ones that are healthier are the ones that have the healthy tantric practices. That is oxymoronic. Totally oxymoronic. When you're always chasing tail, you're chasing to repopulate because the body triggered an extinction event. There is probably a balance in between, but if you exhibit both characteristics of extreme love, which then can turn extreme hate if somebody triggers you, okay, hey Masa, then you are imbalanced. When you can acknowledge something without turning to love and hate, regardless of where you are, because people who are in my corner can still trigger the love and hate. It just takes something, that someone says something wrong, or I say something that doesn't seem like it's in my, I say like a warning to people, hey, you guys, don't dispute people in the group. And then some people who are still very imbalanced, still on the love, will then get triggered by that, and then you feel the anger. Okay? At what point can we not have and trigger the love, and the hate, and just acknowledge? That is the middle road, not indifference, not trying to deny your feelings because you're trying to withhold because you feel that it's imbalanced. That's what people do in relationships, that they know if you mention a subject matter, it's going to trigger back and forth, so they have an indifference. They don't even acknowledge it. But then you have someone that will acknowledge, that will react to it, and it become from love or come from hate. Where we need to lay within, in my opinion, is generously acknowledging somebody's contribution, regardless of who it is, whether it's a person arguing with me or the person or me, is an acknowledgement of the situation without coming from love or hate, or anger, or love. And this is why I say, those of you that are still trying to do the ayahuascas and still smoking tons of pot because you're trying to take the edge off, that's still going to anesthetize you to still keep you within this love-hate type of relationship with the world. Okay? Eventually, you're going to have to feel to heal. And if you're feeling like you have to go and anesthetize yourself with Tylenol or with any other drug because you have a healing symptom that you're not willing to face, then it's going to still, you got to keep doing the J juice to where you don't have to turn to Tylenol, to where you don't have to turn to marijuana, to where you don't have to turn to ayahuasca to play with your hormones. Okay? To escape this current reality. At what point will you be able to just heal and feel and heal? Okay? Because even flirting, when you flirt with another sex, you're trying to drop seeds because you've already triggered the extinction event. I feel it. Some of you guys out there flirt with me. I understand it. I know where it comes from. I acknowledge it, but it's not something I'm going to take further. Okay? So when you guys flirt with the other sex for whatever reason, you're exhibiting, triggering an extinction event. You want to go and repopulate in some way, shape, or form. And sometimes it comes out in flirting. Sometimes it comes out in going on dates, getting on Tinder. Okay? So just understand and recognize. And then it goes to the extreme of these criminals like the Jeffrey Epsteins. I'm not saying all of you are doing that or going to be going there. But there's all these different imbalances in adrenaline and oxytocin. And so when you have too much oxytocin, you're going to feel the ooze and or want to repopulate. And then if you have so much adrenaline, then you're going to see the hate. Then you have the mixture of both. Then it's like, oh my God, it's an explosion. And then that's what turns into criminals. So this is why I say you guys got to do the J juice, get well balanced, so you can just acknowledge, not be indifferent or come from love and hate. You can have a mixture of love and hate in a well balanced formula, because that's just like the elemental composition of the human body. The first 9 elements is all of your electrolytes and the oxygen and the water. The last 20 or 30 or 40 are the trace minerals. Those are the heavy metals that your body needs to repel anything that's not right, as well as help mineralize your bones. Okay, because that actually has the most minerals is in your bones, in your teeth. Okay, so I have to address this because with this thing with the viruses. These viruses are all over the place. There's trillions of them. All of you have been exposed to every single one that there is a vaccine for. It doesn't mean that you got the vaccine. It just means that somebody, not even somebody that got the vaccine, it's just out there. And then the whole thing with Africa. The cradle of humanity comes from Africa because they are the most infectious continent, which means that they are the ones that really started the expansion of human consciousness as well as human advancement, language. And then they all migrated, people in Africa way back when migrated different regions, and then they have different mutations, and then we had different species. And I'm thinking way back in the Australopithecus days and the Neanderthal days and the Homo erectus days, that I'm sure rape happened back then, that they were raping each other. And then as we got more advanced and more civilized, we realized that we're not animals. We're not going to rape each other to go and procreate. But when you have imbalances, then we start intellectualizing how to procreate. And that's why we have laws. Okay? So that way we're not just going and raping somebody or doing whatever to anybody. Okay? But there's ways to manifest mitigating extinction events or repopulation events in a legal way, in a safe way, where we don't victimize and exploit the minors in our society. But that's where that comes from. The people that exploit minors in our society, they're coming from a major imbalance that trigger them to go and repopulate, and they don't care who it is. That shows you how imbalanced our society is when we have so many of them all over the freaking world. They're in high levels of government all the way to your neighbors down the street. And if you look at all the different websites that are in your neighborhood, they're a dime a dozen. Why is that? Because we are imbalanced as humanity, and we are creating children who are doing this and they become adults. Some keep it under wraps. Others they don't have any care in the world. They'll do it till they get caught. Some get caught, some don't. That's why we have laws in our society. But we have to understand, yes, it's a crime, but it's also an imbalance. Major, major imbalance. And if we understand this and we stop coming from the emotion that, oh my God, they're so horrible. Because yeah, you lock everybody up, but what are we doing with the ones that we're creating right now? The people that are bullying on Facebook are creating those types of people if all the conditions are right. They don't realize this because there's imbalances out there too that think that they're trying to save humanity, and then they create this bullying mechanism, and their kids see it and their kids feel justified. And then who knows what kind of background they have, and all of a sudden they're an adult who's going like, oh wow, I'm going to do this under the radar until I get caught. Okay, so this is where we have to understand, if we're going to have children, you really need to make sure you don't exemplify the extreme love and hate, because then you will have a girl or a boy out trying to repopulate before they should, or you have them go and do it in a nice way, I guess, or in a very aggressive way. We really have to get control of our emotions, and I've had to. You've watched me go crazy from the people who were attacking me, and I attacked back and did this and did that. And I realized that that's really not what I need to do. That really what they're doing is a reflection of themselves. Nothing to do with me. It's a reflection of themselves. And so this thing with aphrodisiac, because that's what's on this line here, this title is aphrodisiacs, the oysters and the cannabis and all the different drugs. Yeah, you're poisoning your body. Yeah, you're manipulating your hormones so you can get an experience, a high. And that triggers the repopulation event. Now, I know some of you want kids. Okay, that's great. But in that process of you wanting kids, you're going to cause hormonal imbalances, and it's going to skew your perception of a lot of stuff. So in the process of you wanting kids, you may not be doing the juice at the level that you should, because innately you want to still have kids. Which means that you'll probably chill out and not do too much of the J juice, which is fine. Okay, that's great. But you do more of the other stuff to try to see if you can get your fertility up. Okay, if that's your choice, but recognize it. Other people are not in that way. Other people are okay with their feelings of the healing symptoms. We don't need to give people advice on, as far as how to manage. Nobody asked for advice. When somebody was on Facebook or in my group, and they weren't asking advice, they were just saying, hey, I'm having a healing symptom. And they were just acknowledging they're having a healing symptom. This is what's going on. Blah, 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 blah. People were coming out of the woodwork trying to give them advice on how to manage. Like they're basically justifying what they do when they have a healing symptom. Oh, I take Tylenol. So go ahead and take Tylenol if you feel that bad so you can rest. That wasn't what she asked for. We're not giving advice to people on how to manage their healing symptoms, but that's what people do when they still haven't really embraced fully the healing, is they give advice to each other. And I'm telling people, don't ask for advice in the group, but people who still practice the pills, powders, and supplements in some way will give that advice. Now, I didn't say anything because I didn't want to start anything. And the lady who wrote that post, she handled it very well. But I left it up there. Because, yeah, people are going to do what they're going to do. I mean, it is what it is. But she wasn't looking for people giving her advice in the group. Because we don't give medical advice in my group. We don't tell someone to take Tylenol. We don't tell someone to take turmeric. We don't tell someone to take anything of the sort. If they want to take it on their own, they will do it on their own. But we're not offering any medical advice to anybody in my group. Okay? But these are the things to recognize. If you are still playing in the ayahuascas and the cannabis on a major, major basis, and and if it's not a prescription drug that is required by your doctor, you're still teetering, trying to balance out your healing process. And I know it takes time, but you are still going to then manifest the extremes, love and hate. And then I see it. I can recognize it. I don't always say anything because I'm not trying to pick on anybody. I don't want them to feel continuously attacked. But I want you to know, I see it. It's obvious. Okay? So, yeah. Really, really what we're truly driving for on the JJs is really coming from acknowledgement. That's a word that we all must look up and learn it and exemplify it. Okay? Because it's yeah. So anyways, that's all I got. But it's something that I just want you guys to chew on for a minute so you understand the society that you live in and what kind of children we are raising. Because we can raise very love kids that have no boundaries and they'll be victims. Because I already see that in some families. We have mothers that are all about love. And so the kids then are all about love. And then most likely boundaries aren't being taught because you're coming from a love. Then you have kids being raised with hate. And then you have kids that are being raised with both sides, both extremes. And then that could be a whole, concoction of yuckiness down the road. And so for us to make sure we don't raise children that are going to be the Jeffrey Epsteins and all points in between is we have to get ourselves well balanced. Like seriously. If not, I'd be afraid for our future at this point with all these viruses and things that are coming to surface, and the Ebola virus, which I can't wait for it to come to our soil, because not that I want to have it decimated, but I want to see how our government reacts to it. What kind of, there is no vaccine for it, but is this going to get the people in my world on the juice or not? Because no matter what, it's out there. The Ebola virus is out there. So how it's going to affect you is relative to what you do to balance yourself out, to make sure that you can take on that Programming. Because you know what a vector is? Men are vectors. They have a specific point that injects messages and programming. Mosquitoes have vectors. Bees have vectors. They inject programming. Vaccines have vectors. They inject a type of programming. And it's not poisonous unless you are a weak person. So how you respond to vectors of information being injected in you is based upon how strong or how weak you are. So this is why I say those of you that are totally like anti-vax, you don't have a clue. Unless you've been watching me, then you have a clue. Go down my timeline, go to my YouTube. Viruses are messages from the universe. You really want to speak to the universe? Understand what goes on in your immediate world first before you start reaching out to the universe. If you're not well balanced in here, there's no way you're going to be able to derive any kind of benefit from the universe. The message will be skewed. All right, I'll talk to you later.